Brought to you by Refi. Refinance your defaulted private student loans today at yrefi.com/Ramsey.
All right. Today's question comes from Melody in Virginia. She says, my husband and I are in our early 40s and got married last year. While we were dating, my husband bought a house for us. I participated in the whole process and he paid the down payment and the mortgage until we got married. We have joint accounts. All that we make goes there and we treat all income as ours. We worked together to pay off the debt we brought into the marriage. My husband recently became very ill and agreed to do some estate planning. I asked him to add me to the house, deed, and mortgage, but he wants to just stipulate in his will that the house will be mine if something happens to him. I don't care about the house itself, but while I made sure to put him as a beneficiary for everything that is mine, he has friends and family as beneficiaries for what is his. Am I wrong in feeling off about this whole situation?
Yeah.
I would definitely feel off about this. The truth is, okay, so let's talk about the will thing first, because if you were like, hey, I'm not on the deed and there's no will, that would really be a problem, just looking at it as that. Because I'd say, well, especially since you guys bought this thing before you were married, it could go to probate depending on what state you're in.
Yeah.
And it would take time for it to really iron out and go to you. The other thought is, but there is a will. Then my next thought is like, have you seen the will? Because I want to see it with my eyeballs on it. For real.
Yeah.
So, because if not, depending on what your state is, again, there could be an issue there. Then there's the relational side of what's going on here. Like, why doesn't he want that? And I also want to know, well, why are your friends and family on the other assets? Like, what is it? What could it be? A 401k? Anything else? A savings account? Anything else that would have a beneficiary?
That would be in his name exclusively that she couldn't be on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what stands out to me, and I'm going to read a lot into this, but this is just what stands out to me. You're in your 40s. You've only been married for a year. It sounds like there's something previous that's playing into this. Like, maybe there was a previous spouse or a previous relationship and he has trust issues. Something is going on there. I find that when people are later in life in those relationships, there tends to be more walls up.
Yeah, more bad experiences that happen with life. And because of that, people get protective and they want to protect themselves, which in one case is totally understandable. But also, as it plays out in the health of the marriage, it ends up being more detrimental than beneficial. And that's where you guys have to like really get on the same page. So unless to your point that he promised his brother that he would help pay for the brother's kids' college. I don't know. It's like there's something there that makes sense to you, but for you not even to understand why, that's a bigger problem to me. You need to know that. Jade, I was stopped by somebody recently out and about, and she was very kind, but she was like, can I just ask you a quick question? I was like, sure. But she was saying that her and her husband are working their way out of debt. She has, I think like maybe, I can't remember the exact word, maybe $20,000 left in her name because they were her student loans.
Okay.
And they were going to go and refinance the house. Well, if they put her name on the deed in the refinance, then they're not going to get as good of a rate because of her credit score and everything. Yeah. And so she was like, we want to refinance, but should we hold off till we're debt free, or could we go ahead and refinance and my name not be on the deed, but I could put it on the dead after I'm, get out of debt. Anyways, it was this whole situation. Yeah. And I told her, I was like, I mean, yes, you want your name on the deed eventually. And if it's not, it needs to be in the will, like what you're saying. But I think the ownership aspect of both being on the deed is important, but also in a short term, if it doesn't make financial sense, save the money and then put your name later if your name is in the will for it. You know what I mean?
That can make sense. Yeah.
Just in case something happens to him. Because the whole point, again, of sharing assets, is from a tactical standpoint. So we want to be smart about that. But it's also from an ownership perspective and a unity perspective.
And depending on the state, I don't want to get this wrong, but depending on the state, let's say that the house was bought, it was bought pre-marriage, it was bought in his name. Technically, let's say that he passed away and there was debt that she didn't know about it. That house, depending on the state, could be treated as an asset and they could sell the house to pay the debt.
That's right.
So this is important. You know what I mean? It's important, A, to know your state law. B, it's important to make sure that these assets are protected because it's probably the thing that they have that's their biggest asset that has the ability to generate the most money for her if she were to sell it. So this is an important issue.
Why Refi refinances delinquent private student loans for struggling borrowers. Learn more at yrefy.com/Ramsey.